I go, but JC looks the same as Casey. I go, but JC sounds the same as Casey. I said to her, I go, but JC has the same haircut as Casey. I go, but JC is the same height as Casey. I said, but JC sounds, walks, talks, acts, and thinks the same. I go, what do you mean you don't want him? And she's paused for a second. She didn't know what to say. I go, you're a mean girl. I go, you're mean, aren't you? I go, why can't you just look past the emotional connection that you have with JC and see what a good guy he is? Why do you have to judge his external circumstances like his occupation? Why are you so judgmental of his living situation, of where JC happens to live right now, when you can tell that he's on his grind, on the way up, and maybe he's going to be a manager at that 7-Eleven? Don't you think it's a bit rude and you're a bit materialistic that you can't just accept JC for who he is? And all of a sudden I could see that my point sunk in. I'd just like to start off this video by saying I think mothers are great. I obviously think mothers are great people, and the world needs great mothers. And this video, since the last video I did when I give a real inside story seemed to do well and you guys seem to really like it, I decided I'll give another one. Every single video I'm going to do what I call a celeb spotlight. Okay, and celeb spotlight is a past transformation or a past student or a man whose life is totally transformed. So the celeb spotlight that I'm going to show you is Mark. So I'm going to put this up on the screen to show you this. Okay, when he came into the system, the mentorship that I have that you can check out below, it is called MBT, okay, Masculine Behavioral Techniques. I show you step by step. He goes, this blueprint is effing genius and needs to be taught at Hogwarts because it's pretty much magic. I feel like Dan Bilzerian because I can pick whoever I want. Thank you, Casey, for changing my life. Okay. When I watch a guy come into something like this and have his life totally transformed from not being able to get the type of dates that he wants or not being able to express himself the way that he wants, to have a real transformation like that, to me, that's worth the weight in gold. And that's why every video I'm going to do a celeb spotlight. Okay, you can check out that presentation I made for you below because, like, this is real life men. So a girl I saw way back in my past happened to be a single mother. Okay, which means she had a child that she was not married. She wasn't with the guy anymore. It was just him and or her and the kid. Okay. Now, what happened was, as we were seeing each other, I was at the point where I was dating, you know, just living my life. She 100% wanted to start to become exclusive, had feelings, wanted me to be her committed boyfriend. I explained that I didn't want to be committed. And at first, to protect feelings, to protect emotions, okay, to soften the blow, let's say. What I did was I would deliver it like, oh, you know, I don't really think I'm at the point in my life right now that I want to be with anyone. I don't want to be tied down. You know, these are runaround answers that give generic responses in order to get XYZ result or desired result without going too far into the weeds. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, there's two types of women when you do that. There's women who are slightly invested in you that will take that answer and move on. And then there's other women who are extremely invested in you and they will not take that answer whatsoever. Okay, the women who will not take that answer whatsoever, they're going to continue to what I call probe you. When I say probe you, what that means is they're going to ask more invasive questions. They're going to say, but don't you think we get along? But don't you like me? Why did you even see me for a few weeks like this? Why did you see it? But we get along so well. You make me laugh. I love you. Blah, 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 blah. This is what you're going to get. Okay, to which at some point you're going to have to probably deliver the cold hard truth. Okay. Now, I feel the need to add this in. I have literally nothing against single mothers at all. Okay, literally nothing. Do you understand? Like, not even nothing against them whatsoever. They're wonderful people. I just personally believe that for me, if I was going to actually date somebody, the only way I would want to invest, you know, time, energy, resources, financial, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it would have to be with, you know, if there's a child in the picture, it would have to be from me, you know, my own DNA, my own biology, so to speak. Newsflash, women do not enjoy the cold hard truth very often. So I sat this woman down and I said, look, I go, I'm 27 years old. I said, by the time I get to age 37, which is a full another decade, I will probably only then be at my peak. And but what I mean is peak is in income eventually, just development, wisdom, everything. I said, why on earth would I commit to a single mom who has kids, who has baggage, if I don't have to? And what I mean by that is I went nitty gritty with it, and I go, think about this for a second. I go, look, if I'm going to be with you, like be with you, emotionally invested in you, and actually be your boyfriend, that means I have to take interest in you, take interest in your life. I have to be there, right? And on top of that, I have to accept that not only did you sleep with another man, but you procreated with him and had his kid. Okay, I was like, that really doesn't sit well with me. And I go, the only way, right, I would ever do that is if I had to. I go, but I'm not in the position where I have to. I go, so at your age, 22, 23, however old the girl was, I go, if there's another woman, right, who would come into my life who's just as attractive, just as sweet, but does not have a child, don't you think that would make much more sense in order for me to pair with that woman? And when I say all hell broke loose, all hell really did break loose in her mind for a split second. So what I'm talking is here's what you're going to find out. If you ever get to a point in life where you have options for yourself, I will say this a million times on this channel, women cannot handle rejection. My brother and I, the amount of women that we have met that have told us verbatim that they have never had a guy reject them, like this woman in particular, short, cute, attractive, told me that she had never had a man ever say no to her. I was the first man. So imagine just for a second going through your whole life, right, a quarter or a third of your entire life, never being rejected by a woman. That was how this woman was in the position mentally where she went through her whole life, never had been turned down. And she said there was never a time where she wanted a boyfriend that she couldn't get one if she wanted that specific guy. There was never a specific guy that she couldn't get. So I delivered this news to her. Did not go well. Could not handle rejection whatsoever. And instantly, and see, this is where I'm telling you, it's not good to, it's good to have standards for yourself, but none of you need to be mean to women. Like I'm telling you, treat women good, right? If you have to withdraw from an interaction, withdraw from a situation, do it as best you can, okay, to protect the other person. So that way, rejection hurts bad enough, whether you're a guy or a girl. None of you guys have to be a total dickhead just to be mean on purpose. That's what I'm saying. So what I said was, I don't see myself, if there was a different girl who came along that was same attractiveness, right, did all the same sweet things for me, but did not have a child, don't you think that would make more sense for me to commit to that, woman? All hell broke loose. Okay, when I say all hell broke loose, I got called an asshole. I got called a piece of shit, right? She said that I'm bitter. And also, another funny thing about this is that while all of those things were coming out of her mouth, what she said was, don't you care about our emotional connection? Don't you like me for me? Can't you look past that? I think you're really mean for not being able to look past that. I think you're immature for not being able to look past that. And I said, stop for a second. I go, let's reverse these roles. I looked at her dead in the eyes. I go, my name's Casey, right? She smiled. She goes, yes, your name's Casey. I go, okay, just for this scenario, my name's JC. Instead of Casey, I'm JC. Does that sound good? She says, yes, that sounds good. I say, okay. If that sounds good, let me paint you a picture. I go, so JC, instead of doing what I do for a living, I go, JC works at 7-Eleven, and he pumps gas 12 hours a day, and he checks out people at the clerk. He's a store clerk. I go, no, and by the way, nothing wrong with that occupation whatsoever. Okay, this is just a scenario I painted. I go, store clerk, works 12 hours a day, and another thing too is I know I'm 27, but JC's 27. I know I'm 27, but JC also lives at his mom's house in the basement, but he's working on getting that managerial position at 7-Eleven, where one day, instead of just being a store clerk, he might be the manager at that gas station. And then he's going somewhere, and you just got to hold out for him. And I looked at her and I go, how'd you feel about that? And her face kind of got like shriveled up for a second where she had this weird look with this side smirk, because obviously you could tell she wouldn't be interested in that sort of guy. I go, but JC looks the same as Casey. I go, but JC sounds the same as Casey. I said to her, I go, but JC has the same haircut as Casey. I go, but JC is the same height as Casey. I said, but JC sounds, walks, talks, acts, and thinks the same. I go, what do you mean you don't want him? And she paused for a second. She didn't know what to say. I go, you're a mean girl. I go, you're mean, aren't you? I go, why can't you just look past the emotional connection that you have with JC and see what a good guy he is? Why do you have to judge his external circumstances like his occupation? Why are you so judgmental of his living situation, of where JC happens to live right now, when you can tell that he's on his grind, on the way up, and maybe he's going to be a manager at that 7-Eleven? Don't you think it's a bit rude and you're a bit materialistic that you can't just accept JC for who he is? And all of a sudden I could see that my point sunk in. See, when the tables are turned, what you're going to see is that majority of women cannot handle rejection. And not only can majority of women not handle rejection, but they have never been rejected ever in their life. And see, this is the problem with men not having a standard. I don't know where it got this, how it got this way. I don't know why it's this way. I don't understand why men fundamentally position themselves at the lower value mentally in every single interaction. But for some odd reason right now in life, we have 60%, 70%, probably even 80, 85% of men walking around with their head down, thinking that they are lower value than the women that they're talking to, thinking that if they approach a girl, she automatically is in the, not even the power position, that she's just better than him for no reason. And it got to this way where men became so weak and they don't see value in themselves that they have no standard. Well, if men have no standard, this is what you get, right? You get complete chaos in the dating game. And what you have to remember is that you as a man, you have every single right. The moment you allow yourself to just start acting on your own terms, the moment you allow yourself to just speak your mind freely and be who you want to be without fear of judgment, without worrying if somebody thinks you're an asshole, without like any of that, you got to understand all of these psychological constraints we put on ourselves as men, they literally don't exist. They are fake. They are a facade. Okay? If you look, let's take such a basic example. You take a guy, he wants to go and he wants to talk to a cute girl at a bar. He wants to go and talk to a cute girl at the gym. I don't care what it is. Instantly, he gets all of these mental social constraints. Okay? The mental social constraints is this. He's going to sit there and he's going to say, she's more attractive than I am. I'm probably going to get blown out of the water anyways. He's going to say, well, what if other people are watching? What if other people judge me? Right? What if I come off like an asshole? What if I come off as creepy? And here's what you're going to find out. 9 times out of 10, the interaction goes fine. Okay? It's not like the girl truly has any, it's not like you're going to get beat up. Okay? It's not like the worst thing that could happen is she could get mad and probably swear at you. Like, if you really think about it. And there's not going to be a single, most guys, if they're at the bar, at the gym, at the club, whatever, it doesn't matter. Most guys still hang their head down and don't say anything and talk to any of the other men around them regardless. The other guy isn't going to even say anything. And he can think whatever he wants, but nothing's going to happen, and he's not going to talk to you just like he wasn't talking to you before. Which means every single social constraint that you put on yourself is fake. It doesn't exist. So the second men start having standards, and the second you start acting how you want to act, you're going to realize that results come really, really quickly. And you have every right to set those standards for yourself. So with this video, okay, hit the like button if you like it. Comment and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.